Praise the Lord, and welcome back to the Spiritual Frontline. I'm your host, Jovanka. By the way, my name means God is reconciling. I'm so glad you're tuning in today. We're diving into something we all struggle with: procrastination. Pastor touched on this a few weeks ago, and I want to know what you think. This isn't just about to do lists, it's also about how we respond to what God's calling us to do. Okay, real talk. You know that feeling, right? You've got something important you need to do, a goal you've been wanting to reach, but you just keep putting it off. It's like there's this little voice in your head whispering, nah, not right now, later maybe. But what if that later isn't just a simple delay? What if it's actually keeping us from something God has in store for us? I really believe that God speaks to us in all sorts of ways. Sometimes it's a strong feeling in our hearts, a sense of purpose. Other times, it's through a friend's encouraging words, a sermon that hits you hard, or even just a nagging thought that won't go away. It's often not a grand pronouncement, but a gentle nudge, a subtle thought from a gospel song. And those whispers? They're often pointing us somewhere, to a new opportunity, a chance to help someone else, or even just a way to grow and become who God created us to be. But when we procrastinate, we're kind of saying, "Hold on, God, I'll get to it eventually." The problem is, eventually can very easily turn into never. And here's the thing: when we ignore those nudges, we aren't just missing out on being productive, we're often missing out on blessings. We could be missing out on connections, on opportunities to share our gifts, and just to experience the joy that comes from stepping out in faith. So, why do we even procrastinate in the first place? Let's be honest. Fear of messing up. Let's face it, we worry we're not good enough. What if we fail? What if we do it wrong? God calls us to be faithful and trust that He's working alongside us. Feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes a task just seems way too big and we freeze up. The solution? Break it down into the smallest possible steps. Focus on the first step only. Don't try to take on the entire mountain all at once. Lack of clarity. It happens. Sometimes we don't even know exactly what we're supposed to do. If that's you, take some time to pray for clarity. Ask God for direction, and then be prepared to move when an answer comes. Clarity often comes from action. The comfort trap. Change is scary. It's way easier to just stay comfortable, even when we know we're meant for more. But God often leads us out of our comfort zone to experience growth. Distractions. Social media, Netflix, all those things can steal our time. We need to be intentional and carve out space for the things that God has laid on our hearts. So, how do we beat procrastination? Here's some practical advice. Start with prayer. Ask God to show you the areas where you're procrastinating. Ask for the courage to take that first step. Take baby steps. Don't try to change everything overnight. Pick one thing and just start there. Focus on that one thing. Get an accountability buddy. Share your goals with someone who will encourage you and help you stay on track. Celebrate every victory. It all counts, even the smallest steps. Don't wait for big wins to celebrate. Trust God's perfect timing. He's working everything out. Trust His timing, even if it doesn't line up with your own. Procrastination isn't just a time management thing. It's a spiritual thing. It can keep us from experiencing all that God has for us. So let's make a decision today to step out in faith, listen for those gentle nudges, and trust that He is with us every step of the way. That's all we have for today. Thanks for joining me. I hope this has been encouraging. Remember to subscribe so you don't miss out on our next episode. We want you to join this ministry. Become a covenant servant today. And remember, Keep listening for that still small voice. To God be the glory.